Hi, I'm Gina. Welcome to Narc-Anon, the channel where we use 12-step literature and program to recover from abuse from toxic relationships, including those with narcissists and alcoholics and addicts. We are going to do a reading today and then discuss the reading. But first we will start with the Serenity Prayer. If you can, say it with me if you know it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. March 28th. What happens when I physically hold on tightly to something? I turn my head away. I squeeze my eyes shut. My knuckles ache as my fists clench. Fingernails bite into my palms. I exhaust myself. I hurt. On the other hand, when I trust God to give me what I need, I let go. I face forward. My hands are free for healthy, loving, and enjoyable activities. I find unexpected reserves of my energy. My eyes open to see fresh opportunities, many of which have been there all along. Before I complain about my suffering, I might do well to examine myself. I may be surprised by the amount of pain I can release by simply letting go. Today's reminder: how much can God give me if I am not open to receive? When I hold on to a problem, a fear, or a resentment, I shut myself off to help that is available to me. I will loosen my grip on something today. I will let go and let God. Quote, all I had to do was become the least bit willing to open my clutched fist a tiny, grudging bit, and miracles happened. That's God as I understand Him today. So the very first thing that this makes me think about, which actually doesn't even really pertain to the topic so much, but I just want to throw it out there just because it made me think of it, is what it's like when you're a codependent or an empath, and you're in a relationship, especially with a narcissist or somebody who lacks responsibility or accountability or has commitment problems. You feel that person start to pull away, and especially if it's a course of like the natural course of a narcissist, where they're starting to like pull away from you, or like I said, any of those other toxic people where they're just like, they feel things are getting a little serious, maybe for their liking or whatever, and they're like, I'm just gonna start stepping back a little bit, because they're trying to let you know who's in control of the relationship and who wears the pants, and like what you want doesn't matter because I'm saying that I'm taking a step back, and like it or don't, but this is what's happening. So they're pulling back, and you, like in a normal person, you're getting nervous because you're like, okay, what are they doing? They're going, like where are they going? So maybe you start to do little things that you're holding on to them. You're holding on to them. They're stepping away and you're moving forward towards them, closer. And then not only, I mean, it just shows them from that point that they've got you even more so. So they're like, wow, I could really step back and they're just going to be there, and they're going to, you know, I could disappear and they're still going to be there because look how insecure they are. They're chasing after me. They don't want me to go. Blah, 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 blah. So that's what that makes me think of, that first paragraph. It's just like, it wasn't even about that, but that's what it made me think of, is just what a codependent or an empath does when they're in a situation with a narcissist or some commitment phobe, whatever. It's like you're stepping back, you're stepping away, and I'm moving towards you. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like if I step back and you chase after me, I could keep stepping back. I could do pretty much, like, it lets me know that you have little self-respect for yourself, and I can do whatever and you're still gonna be there. So there's that. But then let's get to what this actually is telling us and teaching us, and what we're supposed to gain from this. Well, I can't say that because it's everybody's own perception. But I'll tell you what I get from it. Okay, so super interesting. The last paragraph reminds me of something else. Also, it says, before I complain about my suffering, I might do well to examine myself. I may be surprised by the amount of pain I can release by simply letting go. There's actually also something in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous that talks about comparing the alcoholic to like somebody who touches a hot stove and they get burned. Like, they're comparing the addiction of alcoholism to touching a hot stove, getting burned, and then the next day just being like, oh, I forgot that burned, I'm gonna touch the stove again. Like, it's they don't learn, and that's any addiction, and that's the problems that they cause us, that we get burned and we don't learn. And it's the same with the narcissist. And the addiction is quite literally the same for most of us. At least it was for me. This person can hurt you really bad repeatedly, and yet I forget, and I go back to touch the stove again. So that's what addiction does. Addiction makes you forget about the pain that this causes, because the physical endorphins and the physical aspects of it, and the mental aspects of it are so, they just outweigh the negativity, because you're so desperate for that, like, the crumbs, the little bit of positive, the serotonin that you get from this person when they throw you a crumb. It's like, it's really annoying in hindsight. Like when you finally get all of this and you're like, it's just kind of crazy, because it just begs the question, like, how long can someone be with a narcissist knowing that they're a narcissist and continue to stay with them? Because I'll tell you that the point that I figured out that I was with a narcissist, it didn't take me much longer. It's like, and I got to a point where there's nothing that this person could do anymore. Like, I finally learned my lesson. Well, and that's the thing too. The only reason that I didn't, and let me clarify for anybody who's watching this maybe and they're dealing with an alcoholic and not a narcissist, because this is where the only difference lies between them, is that an alcoholic may very well actually care, and they're just caught up in their addiction, and that could or may not change, or it may not change for a very long time, but they still are well intended. The narcissist is not well intended. The narcissist doesn't care. So that's why I stayed as long as I did, because I didn't know that this person was a narcissist. I thought they were an alcoholic. They are an alcoholic. But I thought that that's why. I thought that they did care. So I kept touching the burning stove, because I thought that one day the stove wouldn't be burnt, it wouldn't burn me. As soon as I realized that this person was a narcissist and this was never going to change, it was pretty quick after that because how could you, if you know this person essentially has no soul, what would make you want to stay with them? They're literally a walking, breathing robot. They're like a human robot. They have there's no soul. There's no feelings, there's no empathy, there's nothing. So what is your incentive to stay? And this is another good thing. If you haven't thought about this and you're with a narcissist, and this is also probably a good test to tell of whether your alcoholic is a narcissist or not. And not just narcissistic, because all addicts are narcissistic while they're in addiction. But this is a good question to answer, is, has this person ever done anything for me that didn't serve them in some way? Like, have they ever gone out of their way to do something nice for me or thoughtful for me? And if you can answer little to none, you're probably dealing with a narcissist. And I can honestly say that in 5 years of dealing with a narcissist, the same one, 5 years, not one time can I say this person actually did something nice and thoughtful for me without there being some ulterior motive involved. Like when it didn't involve a Hoover, or with him, I mean, I couldn't even call it a Hoover, but it'd be like just trying to get in my good graces or feeling me out to see how I would respond to him coming back around because he wanted something from me. They literally never once. And in hindsight now, even the worst of addicts or alcoholics they still, you may not see it often, and it may be subdued, and maybe you knew this person before their addiction got out of hand, and you knew then that they were really like a sweet and empathic person, and they've changed since they started abusing a substance. But you still, even in their addiction, you still see sometimes that they do caring things. Like it may not be as much, maybe just glimpses, but you still see glimpses of that person being a good person or caring about you. So you might believe or understand, and maybe you don't, and maybe you don't agree or believe that, and maybe you don't have an addiction to your toxic person. But I can say that a lot of us are addicted to our toxic people, and we don't realize it. Obviously, I didn't understand that. And that's another reason why a 12-step program can work for us, because all these programs are pretty much about addiction in one form or another, and it teaches us how to stop needing outside things. The way that that's done, the way that we stop needing things, is through the 12 steps, and specifically the first 3. Our first step is that we admit that we're powerless over this substance. So in this case, we would say that we are powerless over this person, and that our lives have become unmanageable. And that's another thing that you may not understand or agree with, but believe me, if it has affected you enough to the point where you're sitting on YouTube and watching videos trying to understand what the hell is going on, and I'm not knocking it by any means, I wouldn't have survived without Al-Anon. There's no way I could have survived the ordeal. So I think this is 100% necessary. But if you're sitting here watching videos on narcissism on YouTube and reading about it, or alcoholism or whatever, and you're spending a lot of time, your life is unmanageable. Your life has become unmanageable because you can't think for yourself anymore. You have become entirely consumed by what is going on with this other person. And I'm talking about in an intimate relationship with this person. I mean, if this is like a boss or coworker or some sort of not so intimate of a relationship, it may not be all consuming. It's just probably annoying, difficult, and whatever. But it's not something that it's not somebody that you love, or and I'm not lessening that by any means either, because I know that can get really bad too in life, affect your life really negatively. But I'm talking about when you're addicted, you are straight up addicted to this person. When you're addicted to this person, your life has become unmanageable. You may be sitting staring out a window for hours waiting for this person's car to come home. You can, be constantly worried about where they are, what they're doing, who they're with. maybe because they've given you reason not to trust them. Maybe your instinct just tells you not to trust them. They make you feel crazy for it, but there's something inside of you still that's telling you that something's not right. You shouldn't trust them. Unless you have like really a track record with people who've turned out to be trustworthy and you still don't trust them, I would trust your instinct, because I've been in relationships with people who I trusted and I didn't have that. And then when I have it, if I'm in a relationship with somebody and I don't trust them, and maybe they haven't given me exact specific reason to, but there's just something that's not sitting right, and I can't trust them. I have always found that there was good reason not to. So I've learned to completely trust my instincts with these things, because I've never been wrong yet. So, but the main point of this page that I read is, so we talked about the first step is that you're powerless over this person and your life has become unmanageable because of it. In step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And that, we can get into it more later, and we will, but you also do have to believe that you have, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. You've lost your mind dealing with this person. Maybe you're like really, really sad, or maybe, like I said, maybe you spend way too much time, obsessing over what this person's doing, where they are, why haven't you heard from them, why they were mean to you, why they're disregarding you, where are they, who are they with, if they're like on drugs or drinking and they disappear. There's all kind of things too that you become all consumed by your thoughts of this person, and it's like it's all you think about, it's all you worry about. That's insanity. That is really, really not healthy. And so in step 2, we realize that we have kind of lost our minds, and we come to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. We'll get more into that later, but it's good stuff. And then in the third step, we turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. So in the first step, we realize, we're powerless. In step 2, we realize that we can't fix it. And in step 3, we realize that God can fix it, or higher power can fix it. And that's kind of what I feel like this is kind of like about the third step. It says, on the other hand, when I trust God to give me what I need, I let go. I face forward. My hands are free for healthy, loving, and enjoyable activities. I find unexpected reserves of energy. My eyes open to see fresh opportunities, many of which had been there all along. So the opportunities have been there. We come here, we feel very victimized because we've put up with and dealt with a lot of abuse, neglect, and all the rest. and we just want to point fingers and go, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. And I know, yeah, narcissists can be pretty malicious. But even at that, we, for a long time, we willingly sat around. We chose. You can't really be a victim if you sat there and let it happen. And I understand like trauma bond, and I understand, because believe me, I was in it, and I get it. I get how confusing it is and why you stay. But the thing is that you did have a choice. And the sooner we get out of the victim mentality, the sooner we gain control back. Because we are in control of ourselves. But in the same sense, we're best for ourselves when we just trust that higher power will take care of us. It's let go and let God. And it's an AA slogan too. I mean, it's just a 12 step in general, but it's in like the first 3 steps in those senses that you can't. 1, you can't. 2, God can. And 3, let him. And that's the truth. And the more that I find, because I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and the more that I step back and stop trying to control things, stop trying to make things work out the way that I want them to, and just trust that God has a plan, the more that we try to control things, the more things are not going to work out. It's when we let go and just let God take care of things and let life move along as He has it paved for us, things go a lot smoother. They really do. So I think the book wants us to exercise that today, because how much can God give me if I'm not open to receive? When I hold on to a problem, a fear, or a resentment, I shut myself off to the help that is available to me. I will loosen my grip on something today. I will let go and let God. I think it's just telling us to take a step back. Take a step back and trust your higher power. Trust your higher power has the solution to the problem, and even if it's not totally apparent right now and you gotta wait it out a few days, weeks, or months, the answer will come if you let go and let God. And with that, I'll pass, and I will see you again soon. Thanks.